In this video, I really want to talk about fishing wood cover. Wood on most of our lakes is one of the most prevalent pieces of cover that bass always hold on. I mean, wood laydowns. I've seen it in the north, in the south, in the Midwest. No matter where I go, wood is in a lot of our lakes, rivers, and ponds, and it always can hold really big bass. So I want to talk about 3 big things that I've learned when it comes to fishing wood that I think will help you to catch more bass. Now, before we get into it, this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Finn Fishing. Right now for the month of September 2024, I'm running kind of a package deal. So you can get a USA made sun shirt, any one of the USA made sun shirts, and a pair of sun gloves for 60 bucks. So it's basically like getting a pair of sun gloves for an extra $6. So really good deal, and it's really easy. All you gotta do, add the sun shirt that you like to cart, add the gloves that you like to cart, and you will see that automatic discount at checkout. Shopping at Finn Fishing, it's truly the best way to help support the channel. Thank you so much for all of you who have done so. All right. When it comes to wood, like I said, it is all over the place. And the first thing that I think is really, really important when I'm fishing wood is to find out if bass want a vertical presentation or a horizontal presentation. Now, I should say this and preface it with some days it doesn't matter. There are days out there where you find bass in wood, and there are a lot of different things that those fish will bite. But I have seen many days on the water where I have been tricked by the bass, because my first initial thought when it comes to fishing around like a wood laydown is to pick up something that I can flip and pitch. You know, a soft plastic crawl, a tube, a jig. That is my first thought. And I also think that that's the first thought for a lot of anglers. Now, there have been days, especially in the fall time, where I have fished before and I'm flipping and pitching wood and I'm like, man, I should be getting bit. And then all of a sudden I decide to switch over to a horizontal presentation, like a square bill crankbait or a spinner bait. And all of a sudden, bam, immediately I start to get bit. And so this is something that's really, really important, because I think that you can fish over fish that prefer one way or another, whether that's a vertical presentation or a horizontal presentation. So anytime that I am going to a lake and I know that I am going to be fishing around wood, stumps, laydowns, whatever it may be, I always try to have at least a few options of both, where I have, a square bill, a spinner bait, and something to drop on them, a Texas rig, even a drop shot. Now, also, with that being said, one big thing that I always like to do as well is throw topwaters around wood. I think topwater baits like frogs are one of the things that people think about last when it comes to wood. If I see a big laydown, not a lot of guys are always thinking about topwaters. A topwater can be dynamite for catching giant bass around wood. So I always like to have a frog with me, because I just think that a lot of guys are not going to pick up a frog. And there was a tournament I fished years ago where it was in the springtime. Everybody around me was fishing the same wood area. I was going behind people with a frog, and I won the tournament, and I was absolutely catching the biggest fish in those areas by using a frog instead of flipping a bait or throwing like a spinner bait or a square bill. So always think about topwaters as well. All right, second thing that I want to talk about is how to approach a laydown. There's kind of 2 big theories behind approaching a laydown, and I think that it's not one is best over another. I think that there are different times where you want to try both options, okay? So let's just talk about the theories real quick. A lot of guys will tell you when you approach a laydown, the first place you should catch a fish, or the first place you should throw, is in the heart of the cover. That is what I remember like Denny Brower saying, the heart of the cover. I remember Mark Davis saying this too, the heart of the cover, meaning like the thickest, darkest, deepest spot in the cover is typically where that bass is gonna be. That should be your flip. Now, on the other side of things, I've also heard anglers talk about starting on the outside and working to the heart of the cover. Now, I believe that you can do both depending on like the fishing. For example, there was a tournament I fished years ago where I would catch more fish if I started on the outside of that laydown and worked up into the heart of the cover. I would physically catch more fish because I wasn't scaring all those fish by catching that fish in the heart of the cover. I was able to kind of pick them off as I went. Now, with that being said, I recognized that every time I would catch a really big fish, it was in the deepest, darkest, that heart of the cover place in these laydowns. So when I went to actually fish the tournament, I did not worry about those outside fish because I never caught a big fish there. So I just started going up and I would flip right into the heart of the cover. That's where I would catch those better quality fish. Now, I have fished tournaments like on the James River where it is, like I fished them in the middle of August where it is tough to get bit. And so sometimes trying to catch as many fish off of a single laydown is very, very important. And I remember this saved me in a big Bassmaster Open event on the James River. I had like 2 fish with 45 minutes left to go in a day. I went up into this big laydown and there was, I made a pitch to the outside, I caught a fish. Then I slowed down, I picked it apart, I caught another fish on the outside. Then I picked it apart even further, got a little bit more inside, and caught the biggest fish on the inside. So the biggest fish were still on the inside, but I caught 3 fish off of one laydown in the last like 20 minutes of the day. So depending on the situations that you are fishing, you might have to attack a laydown a little bit differently. But it's always good, I think it's always good to at least start on the outside and work in to try to figure out, are there a lot of fish in these laydowns? Is there one fish in these laydowns? And where are the big fish? So that's what I suggest, but depending on what you're dealing with that day, it may be different as to how you attack them. All right, let's go on to the third thing. I put pay attention to the wood you are getting bit out of, okay? All laydowns, all logs, all things that you see out there on the water look a little bit differently. But you will start, if you do this enough throughout a day and start getting bit, you will see little nuances within the wood where it's like, man, that's the type of wood that these fish are sitting in. For example, I have seen it before where you only want to fish around wood that is big wood. If you fish, you know, the stuff that is brushy, maybe it's bushy, it has little twigs in it, you won't get bit. But as soon as you find those laydown logs that are bigger, you know, like 2, 3, 4, 5 inches in diameter and bigger, those are the ones where the bass are. So there are times where the bass will get really specific on what type of cover that they want. And this can help you a lot because if you start to pick up on exactly where the bass are sitting, what size log, even what species of tree. You know, I used to do tree work, so I'm always paying attention to like, hey, that was an oak tree. Hey, that was a sycamore tree. Hey, that was a pine tree. Bass don't always like pine trees. Not always, but sometimes they do. If you pay attention to those things, sometimes you can figure out exactly what the bass are looking for, and then it helps you to skip over so much dead water and only be in the prime areas to catch a bass. So that's something that I always pay attention to, is the little patterns within patterns. Now, there are times where it also doesn't matter. There are times where you find an area and there's bass there and you're gonna catch them out of the twigs. You're gonna catch them in the big wood. You're gonna catch them in the little wood. You're gonna catch them everywhere. So just always pay attention to those things. I think those are the 3 biggest tips that can help you to catch more bass around wood, which I'm gonna be doing a lot of probably here in the fall, which I'm really excited about. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and don't forget to check out the fin gear. I will see you guys tomorrow.